Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I'm going to assemble the MDF RV camper. Hey, so Jaded Blossom has these new MDF RV campers and the little base dies. And you'll need to use your Car Dies RV camper and the MDF base die. And then you can decorate this super cute camper. So I'm using the Let It Snow pad from Doodlebug and the candy cane lane in 6-inch and 12-inch. There is the 12-inch Let It Snow. And I'm going to assemble this super cute little camper. I'm going to make it Christmas themed. So first I cut it out of American Crafts black cardstock. You could probably skip this step, but it shows you where everything goes. So that's why I wanted to keep it in. Adds another layer. So I'm using my Barely Art glue, and then I'm going to stick these two together. And like I said before, this is going to be a Christmas camper, which is kind of fun. So you can remember, you can decorate these for all different holidays or just leave it plain, right? And next I'm going to just decorate the two little bases using the MDF Standing Base die. All my die cutting today was done with my Anna Griffin Empress machine, working on a Stampin' Up pad, using reverse tweezers, all the things, Barely Art glue. And you'll see that I'm weighing things down with an acrylic block. You want to be generous with your glue and then weight it down. So there we are. Now next we're going to assemble it. So this is, you can tell this was cut from the 12-inch paper line Let It Snow. So I am going to add this to my camper. So remember, you can make your camper any color, any pattern. That's the fun thing about paper. And like I say, kids could do this. 100% kids could do this if you had the pieces cut out for them. There we are. So now I'm going to put down the red layer. That is also from the Doodlebug paper. I believe this was the 6-inch. You can tell from the size of the patterns, right? But I did use both the Let It Snow 6-inch and 12-inch and the candy cane lane that I mentioned. So I am adding on now my fun little polka dot door. It'd be fun if you could get a camper that looked like this, right? Although I'm not really a camper person. Let's be honest. I live in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, and we call our cottages, I guess, camps. So people think I'm camping when I say we're at camp. But Leanne doesn't camp. This is more like a house on the lake, right? I'm not really into roughing it. So campers, to me, that's a little bit more roughing it than I would like, even though they make some pretty fancy campers. Okay, so now I'm just continuing on with adding in all my little cut pieces. There it is. And I'm just filling in the little windows, just adding, some extra layers. You don't have to add those in if you don't want to, right? I'm going to add my little window on next. I think that sometimes the extra layers just makes things a little bit more dimensional and fun. So I do weight it down with an acrylic block. I'm going to add in my tires that was cut from that same American Crafts black cardstock. It's got a bit of a texture to it. So I'm going to add those on as well. There it is. And adding in, this is red mirror cardstock from Recollections. I'm just going to add those in. And I'm just going to be making this, like I said, super fun and Christmassy. So now I'm going to add in this little hubcap cover. So this obviously would go on after your wheel. So I'm just layering that on. And I do weight it down, like I always say, with an acrylic block, adding on all these other pieces. So this is super cute, and I'm planning on using this with my tiered trays at Christmas time. I like to decorate some tiered trays to add some decorations around the house. Just looks super cute. And there we go. So I'm adding on. This is fun because it's like a candy cane stripe, right? So I'm just adding that on. And you get the idea of where things go because there is some stitching details that kind of show you. But, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is crafting after all. It's just fun. Okay, so next I cut this little light piece out of Simon Says Stamp black glossy cardstock. And then I cut the little light bulbs out of Recollections Silver Mirror cardstock. And I'm adding those on one by one using this little embellishment wand. There we go. I think mine was Studio Katia, but remember, most companies have these. I think I have one from Simon Says Stamp as well. So you can get them all over the place. They have a little wax tip. And it just makes things easier when you're dealing with tiny pieces, I find. So I'm going to add on some more glue on these other little light bulbs, and I'll do this exact same thing using my little embellishment wand to pick things up. So I've got a shiny black kind of cord with all of these little lights on it. And of course I'm going to make them, you know, Christmassy looking, right? Just makes it fun. There we are. And I did cut the little light bulbs out of Recollections-red and then this green colored foil cardstock. It was in like a pad from Recollections. So I'm just going to alternate the red and green, of course, for the little light bulbs. And I just think it looks super cute. You know, and you know, you're going to want to weight it down in between because this paper is shiny and slick. So you'll want to give it a little bit of time to dry, but once it's dry, you're in business. You don't have to really worry about it. So there we are, and we're almost done. But like I said, these little MDF pieces that they have in the Jaded Blossom store are a lot of fun. And you can certainly decorate for all the different holidays using these little MDF pieces. So there we are. I kind of like to try and use these things a different way all the time, right? Not always the way that you would expect. Okay, so now I'm adding on some pattern paper that's also from Doodlebug again. And I'm adding on these little curtains. So these have little Christmas trees on them because we're sticking with that Christmas theme, right? And I just think they look so cute. Adding them on to the little window on the door as well. And it's just, I just think it's adorable. And there we are. We're going to add in their little bows now. And that's cut from that same paper pad from Doodlebug. It's a red pattern, although it's small. You can't really see that it's a pattern, but you know, I like it when all the reds match. So adding on the little bows for the ties. Now I do have the red mirror cardstock from Recollections, and I'll be adding that on as the bumper and as the little lights because we're going with the Christmas theme, right? So that's why I'm using the red foil. And the little handles I also cut out of red foil. There we are, just adding in the last couple of lights here. As you can see, super fun and Christmassy. There, I do weight it down with an acrylic block. And now I've got two little handles, one for the little car or vehicle door and then one for the camper. And I'm going to add those in place with my little embellishment wand. And isn't that cute? I just think it's adorable and super fun for Christmas. I think this would be great. You could do a Halloween one too, right? Okay, so now I am adding on my little lights with some Bearly Art glue. You can see I'm using those reverse tweezers. It kind of gets your hands out of the way so you can glue things like this. Otherwise, you'd probably have glue all over your hands. And I hate that. So there we are. So I'm going to line up my lights and then we will be done after we weight it down, of course. And isn't this cute? I just think it's so cute for Christmas, right? So there we go. Now I'm taking, these are some shape sprinkles from Doodlebug. I'm going to be using this holly and pine. I'm adding a little bit of glue just to, you know, make sure things are glued down well. And I'm going to add a couple pieces of these little holly, just where those little light strings meet. I just think it's so fun. And I am using, oops, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to add some more of these little holly leaves, but I decide not to. Now I am using, these are called Polar Pals, but I'm only using the tiny little enamel dots, and I'm using them as berries. So I'm going to stick them down. I added a little bit of glue because it is slick, right? So you're going to want them to glue them down so they don't move around. And now we've got some little berries. I do add a couple of more on there. And now I'm going to add my little stands. Whoops. And isn't that cute? Whoops, I moved my berries because it hasn't dried yet. But you get the gist. Isn't that cute? So cute, right? So there is my adorable camper. And I just think you can't get any cuter than that. And here it is with a gnome. And there we go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to get shopping. Bye, everybody.